Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the road to Sonic Mania, a three-part series where we take a look at 3 old fan game projects from people who have ended up working on Sonic Mania. I'm Sonic Yoda from SEGADriven.com, and in this episode we're taking a look back at probably one of the most obviously connected titles to Sonic Mania in the form of Retro Sonic by Christian Whitehead, aka the Taxman. Retro Sonic is essentially the game that Taxman used to build the Retro engine that has since powered his ports of Sonic CD, Sonic 1, Sonic 2, and now Sonic Mania. To begin with, let's take a look at the 2007 build of the game. In this build we get 2 acts of an original stage called Egg Garden Zone, and a 3rd act which features a boss battle. While the game doesn't feel exactly like later retro engine powered titles, the groundwork is all here and it's still a surprisingly faithful rendition of 16-bit Sonic action. It feels great to play, and the momentum and physics are exactly how you'd expect them to be. It's great to experience Taxman's expertise as a programmer 10 years prior to Sonic Mania. The stage design is perhaps a little sloppy, and has a hard time hitting that flow that you get with great Sonic stages, but it's certainly not the worst stage design I've experienced. We also get a complete remake of Emerald Hill Zone, which foreshadows Taxman's port of Sonic 2, and we're also treated to the Sonic 1 style rotating bonus stages, which probably could have used some tweaking to stop stuff like this happening. Next up, we're going to take a look at an even older build of the game that dates back to 2002. You'll instantly notice this weird logo on the title screen that looks like it was drawn in Microsoft Paint. It's actually quite cute in a way. As this is an earlier build of Retro Sonic, you'll notice the gameplay isn't as refined. Sonic is a little twitchier and floatier than you'd expect, and collision with enemies and monitors is a little more forgiving. There's a surprisingly large amount to do in this demo. We get 2 stages in the form of Egg Garden Zone and Dust Hill Zone, each with 3 acts but sadly no boss battles at this point. Then we get the custom levels, which are basically work-in-progress versions of Dust Hill, a warehouse stage and a Dust Hill Pass stage, suggesting that Taxman may have been thinking of putting Sonic CD style time travel into the game at some point. Finally, we have probably the most interesting build of the game, a port to the Sega Dreamcast. I'm not entirely sure when this version was built, but my guess would be around the same time as the 2002 build, or a little bit after, as it shares a lot of similarities. Now, apologies for the video quality, but I wanted to show this version actually working on real hardware, so this was filmed off-screen but using an actual Sega Dreamcast. So this build has a lot of stages to mess around with, but they're often incomplete or missing music and various gimmicks. The main stage that can be experienced in full with no issues is a recreation of Emerald Hill, and it plays very similarly to the 2002 build of the game. There's not much to write home about here outside the fact that Taxman has seen fit to add the Sonic 2 beta motor bugs back into the stage. Next up we have the Test Zone that is built from the same assets as the Warehouse Zone. There's no music in this stage and I got stuck in one area so I couldn't confirm if it was completable. Next up is a single act of Dust Hill, which didn't seem to be completable either. The stage seems to end in a giant underwater pitfall that you can't avoid. Then we get an attempted remake of Wing Fortress from Sonic 2, but sadly lots of the gimmicks are missing, which basically makes this impossible to finish. Then we've got unfinished version of Chemical Plants Acts 1 and 2. Once again these acts are missing gimmicks and music, but Taxman is drawing from the Sonic 2 beta tileset, as the loops have the angled corners that feature in that version. Next we have an early build of an original stage that would have featured in the finished game called Volcanic Tower. While the stage is completable, there isn't much here outside of some early stage geometry. And then finally we have 2 incomplete acts of Labyrinth Zone from Sonic 1. Lots of the gimmicks are missing, and in the case of the water slides in Act 2, they just don't work all together. Regardless of how hastily put together this build is, it already shows how versatile Taxman's retro engine is. Taxman has been quoted as saying that Sonic Mania has the potential to run on anything, and as evidenced in this version of Retro Sonic, that was clearly the case this early on in development.